Hey creatives, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we are setting up my bullet journal for December and winter 2023 into 2024. We are doing this in my new bullet journal. I've already set it up and you can find the video on my channel. I also link it. And yeah, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I'm very happy that you found your way here. And I hope that you enjoy this video. Grab yourself some cozy drink and get comfortable, and I hope that we have a little relaxed planning session here together. We are starting with my seasonal spread for winter, and I have been doing these kind of seasonal spreads since summer this year, and I have enjoyed them pretty much. They give me some better feeling for how time passes and how much time is in the next 3 months than just having my usual monthly spreads. And I do like to do this seasonal planning instead of like normal quarterly planning, what a lot of people would maybe do, because I think paying attention to what the seasons are like and what they make me feel like makes living a little bit easier sometimes. I don't know if all of that makes sense, but to me it does, and so I'm doing these seasonal spreads. So overall they are a bit of a mix of memory keeping, some functional things, and some reminders of being gentle to myself, paying attention to how I'm feeling and maybe how nature is feeling as well. Maybe you know this feeling in winter if you're living in a dark, cold country like northern Germany. Is not basically the coolest country, but it's definitely it's dark and grey and often wet, and it's cold, and winter can feel pretty frustrating from time to time and pretty long, and sometimes it might feel a bit depressing. But looking at nature and how trees lose their leaves and everything just shuts down, I think reminding that helps me to be more nice to myself and not expect myself to be in my highest energy and to be the most productive and creative in this time, and that's okay. And I think that this is way more healthier than always expecting the same energy level and the same the same productivity and all that stuff throughout the whole year. We are part of nature too, and we have seasons as well, and I like to remind myself of that. If you want to read more about those topics and the spirit of the seasons, I have a little series on Patreon. I'm still working on it, so winter will be coming pretty shortly. But yeah, my Patreon page is free and you can find a lot of resources and things I'm interested in there, and you can check it out if you want. The content of my seasonal spread is a mix of what I just said, memory keeping and reminders, and also a little bucket list. So here on the left side I have a space for the spirit of the season, some goals and intentions, and some tarot cards, meanings that I will be drawing for the season. Then I have a space for bucket list. I like to do that. I'm not forcing myself to do anything, but this is mostly what helps me to get excited for the season and to make it a bit more fun. And then the next spread will be for writing down things I've accomplished. There's something new I just added this season. And then next to that, having a space for monthly memories. I used to write that in a whole spread that I set up at the beginning of the year, but now I just started doing that in my seasonal spreads, and it makes a lot more sense to me, and I like how that works. So that is basically everything I have to say with the seasonal spread. I like that it is not screaming winter. I'm not too much into the winter aesthetic, but I really do enjoy how it turned out. I decided to use those silicone stamps that I've got relatively new, which are a crystal ball with a cute little cat in it and some hand holding tarot cards. And I find that really fitting because I find winter to be the season to look into the future, to plan for the upcoming year, and to get excited for everything that the future might hold. And so yeah, this is what this spread symbolizes for me, and I'm excited to get into it and to hopefully have a bright future ahead, and I hope that you've got a bright future ahead too. I also used this watercolors throughout the whole setup we're going to do, and I can say that it worked pretty well, even though I have a 80 GSM paper notebook. But I am quite happy how it turned out. And I also added this little tab for signifying where winter starts. And then we're already in my December setup, which I decided to give it a little bit of a theme of alchemy. I was pretty uninspired at first, and I had this idea of like creating a bookshelf or some sort of shelf for my journal, and I got really stuck on that. I tried to do it with watercolor and I just couldn't get myself to finish it. And then I decided to make it a bit easier and to just do it with black pens. And it was still really a lot of work, and I didn't film the process of it because I didn't want the video to turn out too long, so I just drew that off camera. And I also like to have a little creative time for myself and not just for YouTube. So yeah, it's a bit of an alchemy theme. I also ordered a few new washi tapes, not that I need any new washi tapes, but I love washi tapes. And they have, I guess, more of an astrology theme, but I think it goes with alchemy as well. If you've been on my channel for a little while and you've watched my December setup from last year, you might know that I'm just not that much into the whole Christmas theme vibes and winter aesthetics and all that stuff. So I like to just make my December setup not scream winter anymore, because whenever I did that in the last 7 or 6 years of bullet journaling, 2024 is going to be the 7th year I'm bullet journaling, I didn't really enjoy my winter setups. But back to the actual setup, I decided to change up my task list a little bit and divide it into some categories. Maybe you already know that I plan a little bit with live areas or live domains, however you'd like to call that, and use some symbols and stuff to organize my tasks. But I find that my task list has not been the most helpful in the past, so I decided to divide it into creative work, into housework, and to financial or work tasks. And then I also have a space for everything else, because I don't find I have a lot of mental or physical tasks or stuff like that. But these are also other categories, and I wanted a space for that. And next to that, on this flip out Dutch door, which is also new to my setup, I decided to have a space for goals and notes. And on the back of this flip out, I create my spendings tracker, which is just really simple this time. I just divided the page by the fold of the page, and I would just write down my spendings. And the spending tracker has been really a little bit of a life-changing spread for me, because I feel like I've got a way better overview of my money and my spendings, and it helps me a little bit to be more intentional with my money. And then on this spread we're setting up now, I have my calendar. I'm just going back to a really simple 1 line a day calendar, which I had in all the previous setups as well. But to be honest, I have been feeling a bit unmotivated and uninspired with my monthly setups, I think maybe since October. And in November I really had a bit of a struggle, and also I was away there's so much I could talk about in the setup, and this is all over the place, I'm sorry. But first of all, I've been uninspired and I've looked at my setups and I've figured out that I did too much. It was too much to fill out, too complicated, and I wasn't enjoying it that much anymore. So yeah, I decided to change things up with the new month, with the new bullet journal, and I think this is always a good new start. So I'm simplifying a little bit, I'm changing the order and the layouts a little bit to make bullet journaling more fun and more functional again. And yeah, I had 2 calendar overviews in the last few months and they worked for a while, but then I think I stopped using my bullet journal in the intensity as I usually like to use it to stay on top of things. Including the overwhelming part of my last setups, it has also become clearly to me that my habit tracking and mood tracking process was just too intense and just getting too much and overwhelming. It has been working very well for almost every month in the last year because it has helped me so much to understand myself and my struggles and all that stuff. But now I have a pretty good idea where things are coming from, where feelings are coming from and stuff like that, and I don't feel the need to do that intense tracking anymore. So I decided to focus on 6 habits this month and to just have a normal 1 line a day reflection page. And also, I haven't addressed that I have printed out a lot of stuff for the setup. I've printed out all the headings and also these habit trackers. So this was basically not a lot of work, and I think I will share all the things I printed out on my Patreon page as well. While we're decorating a little bit, let's talk a little bit what I've been up to lately, because I actually wanted to start this video with saying I'm back, but this voiceover hasn't worked in the way I wanted to so far. So now I'm saying I'm back, and you might think you haven't been away because I have scheduled my 2024 bullet journal setup in advance. But I've been to New Zealand. In November, I have been on the other end, or at the other end of the world for 3 weeks. We visited my partner's family and we had a lovely time, and I've spent 3 weeks in summer while autumn has fully started here, and yeah, it was a lovely time. It was a lot too. I've never traveled that far in my life. We've been going there or traveling there took probably 30 hours each time. So it was exhausting, but it was really, really worth it. I have a lovely family on the other side of the world, and I couldn't be happier that this was possible this year. Looking back at the beginning of the year, it was really something I was anxious about, and that I was pretty worried how to make it happen, but we were able to make it happen, and I'm really thankful, and it was amazing. Now I'm back in the grey and cold Hamburg weather, and it's a bit hard to adjust to that, but it is what it is. And meanwhile, while I was talking about that, we set up the 1 line a day reflection page, which I thought first to be something different, but I decided to just keep it very simple because that is what I wanted to do. And now we're moving on, and this is a bit of a fun page. This is going to be my tarot and monthly favorites page. 2 things that I like to track are tarot card drawings. It's just a fun thing for me, and sometimes it helps me reflect. It's not like I believe that the cards tell the future or anything. They're just a tool you can use for self-reflection, or sometimes it's inspiring and it's just fun, honestly. And I also like to write down what I'm consuming, what shows I'm watching, what books I'm reading, and this is the place of the monthly favorites. And next to that, I decided to add just a pure fun thing, and that's an advent calendar. Jeez, it's hard to talk. I haven't had an advent calendar in, I think a few years, I'm not exactly sure, but I thought that this year might be the time to treat myself and to think of something that I can do. I'm not exactly sure what I will be using this advent calendar for, but let me first explain how this works at all. So I printed out this design that I created, and then I glued that on my notebook page. Under the page, I put a thicker piece of paper or cardboard to cut out the doors of the calendar. So I would just cut out the three sides of the doors to create a little door, and then you can flip them out. I guess that's more self-explanatory when you look at it, except for instead of my poorly explanation. But I think you get what I'm talking about. And after all the work of cutting those doors was done, I glued this page with the doors on it onto the next page so that the doors would have a backdrop or background. And on these, inside of these doors, I haven't done anything yet. I have tried to find some inspiration or something. I am thinking of either some sort of a self-care calendar. Maybe I'm thinking of 24 self-care things, but realistically, I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but it would be a fun thing. And the other thing that I was thinking about was to use it as a thing of like a gratitude blog or something. I'm not entirely sure, so if you have any other ideas besides that or any cool ideas, write them in the comments, and yeah, maybe I can pick something that I haven't thought of so far. But yeah, you should be quick because that has to be done by the 1st of December. So much for the advent calendar. I thought that could be a fun thing, and to start my bullet journal with a bit of a new vibe and new inspiration. After that, we're doing something that I don't know if I have actually done that on my channel before. We're setting up weekly spreads. And if you've seen any of my other monthly setups, you know that I had this kind of calendar view for a while that had all the weeks with the days underneath each other in it. I don't know if my explanation makes sense, so I might put a picture here. And this was fine, it was working, but as I said, I think it made me not use my journal that much. And I thought, inspired by Jessie Corin, to try use a, a bi-weekly planning system to, set up 2 weeks at a time and then do the same after that. And so we have on each side 1 week, and besides that, a few categories. I think I've got some space for goals here, for a focus of the 2 weeks, for a self-care tracker, which I'm not exactly sure what to put in it yet, but I will fill it out, for things that I want to do just once a week. And then on the right page, there is space for tasks and notes. And in the middle, we have the 2 weeks. I find that looking at 2 weeks at the time might just be the right amount of time, because I think 1 week is always a bit little for me to like set goals and all that stuff. Whenever I did that in the past, I would never really pay attention and really achieve those things. So maybe this helps me stay a bit more on top of things and get a bit more motivated to use my bullet journal again. And something else I wanted to say is that the light in this video changed a million times, and that is due to the fact that it is getting dark outside again, it's getting difficult to film again, and I was honestly too lazy to get out my lights and all that stuff and set my equipment up, and so I used daylight till the point where it was just too dark. Then I turned on the ceiling lights and it looked horrible, and so I waited till the next day, which is now, and continued with the weekly setup, added some final details with the silver watercolor paint, and yeah, I think that's basically all that I have to say to that. I'm very excited to use my journal and to get into the energy of starting a new journal and to make plans for the next year, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm thinking changing things up, creating new layouts and all that stuff can sometimes be just the right inspiration you might need. And also, if you've been thinking about starting a bullet journal for a while now, I sometimes get comments like that. I hope that this can also show you that you don't have to wait till January to start your new bullet journal. You could just do that now and see where it's going. Don't put too much pressure on you. Don't think it has to be perfect. Just start and add things as you go, as you need them. As I said, I've been bullet journaling for 6 years now, and I have figured out how it works for me. And that is something that you might have to do when you start your bullet journal. And that might not come all at once. It might take some time, but if you've been thinking about doing it, I would just say go for it, try it out, and hopefully it can be a helpful tool for you. Because I can honestly say, without my bullet journal, I would be completely lost. And I guess it's also a bit of a coping thing for me to manage my ADHD brain a bit better. But that's what tools are for, right? And I think with that being said, all there was left to do was to add some final touches, some details, some washi tapes, a few sparkles here and there. That's basically all I'm adding, and I'm really happy with the layouts and with the design. I like the new washi tape, it's pretty, it has a vibe, and I think this has been a pretty good start into my new journal, which, by the way, if you don't know that by now because you haven't seen any other videos or forgot, I am planning to make this journal magic and witchy and all in this kind of aesthetic. And I think that I really like this vintage touch that my pages have, and I'm really curious to see how that will turn out throughout the next year, if I'm getting bored by that or if I'm really finding my kind of bullet journaling style with this year, because that's something I think I haven't found yet. So yeah, I'm curious to see what the new year brings, even though it's still December, I know, but it already feels like a new start to me. And what this new journal brings. And I hope that, you join me on this journey, or if you already joined me, that you enjoy it, that you stick around. And it makes me really happy to have you here on the channel, especially now with the new year. There are a lot of new faces here, and I hope that, that you like what you see here. If you do enjoy my videos, you know how it goes on YouTube. It always helps me out a lot if you subscribe to my channel, if you like my videos, comment under them, share them if you feel like that. Of course, that is helpful and motivating to me, but don't feel pressured, okay? And if you want, head over to my Patreon. There are always pictures of my setup, so you can take inspiration from that. I also have a Pinterest profile where you can pin stuff. I think I've got all those things covered now, and now we are just at the final flip through, finishing this video. And thank you so much for being here, spending the time with me, and I hope that I see you in my next video. Until then, have a great time, have a great December, a great Christmas time, and I hope you're doing well. See you in my next one. Bye.